I'm glad she went and said that. I would have expected. I didn't think she would come into choir practice.
But she wants to have a good shot.
I don't want her to rush it. She's got to take it easy.
What do you need?
I'm in good shape. What's my time? Oh.
I don't wear a watch at Shabbat.
Really? That's because you've got that contraption. Oh, that's true because you're retired.
Except on 3 or 4 occasions.
Yeah?
For social reasons, I wear no watch because I'm retired.
Because what? Because you don't need to wear a watch.
I don't need to.
Like-
If I get here on time for the service,
That's good. All you need is a clock.
then,
One place.
then everything else is fine.
That's very
I don't
funny.
need it.
You don't.
I don't.
You don't need it.
Didn't Gabe do a nice job?
Yeah, you did do a nice job.
See what he did? You saw his.
It was Devar Torah too. It's great. Very well prepared.
So, go find this one. He picks up the announcements. He says, do you want to do the announcements or do you want me? I said, if you want to do the announcements, Gabe, go ahead. I said, what is this? The men's club is going to do the coming cavalcade and the yellow candle assembly. He said, what is this? So I had to explain to him. He says, they get all the guys there to do the coming cavalcade.
And then they have the
And then they say, okay, stay and something. And then it's like here and here, and he didn't understand why it was. But once I explained it to him, he thought it was wonderful.
Makes perfect sense.
It makes absolute sense.
Welcome everybody, Shabbat Shalom. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 yedid nefesh avarachaman mishoch avdecha el retzonecha yarutz avdecha kemo ayal yishtachaver mul hadarecha ki erav lo yedidutecha menofetuf vechotam. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So glad to see you. Get this thing out. I forgot about my little contraption here. Yeah, it's really nice to see you. If you see me kind of yawning or looking a little glazed over, it is because I was in Israel yesterday. But I'm back. I am back. It just, that's what happens. This whole modern technology thing of airplanes. I mean, Paul, you remember when you used to have to take a boat to Israel to get overseas, isn't that right? No. You have no memory of taking a boat? No. Always by plane. Always by plane. How about from Vienna to America? Oh, that was Hamburg, and from Hamburg, the ship across the ocean. That was a boat. That was a boat. After that, it was all planes. People remember taking planes. Anyway, so we're glad to have you here in Shabbat Shalom. And we begin with the lighting of the Shabbat candles, and you can find it in your Siddur on page 120. So 120, there you find the blessing for lighting these Shabbat candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. All right, and now Kiddush, you can find it on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziyat mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha b'yahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh Shabbat. All right. So our service continues with Zamru. You can find that on page 134. Zamru, Ladonai Bechinor, Bechinor, V'kol Zimra. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor, Bechinor V'kol Zimra. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor, Bechinor v'kol zimra. Zamru l'Adonai Bechinor, Bechinor v'kol zimra. Zamru l'Adonai Bechinor, Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra. All right, the Baruch Hu, which is our call to worship, that is on page 146. I'd like to invite everyone to please rise if you don't mind. 146. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach leolam va'ed. On 152, I think. Sorry, I'm not fast enough here. 152. Indeed. No, sorry, 150. Everlasting love. Join me. You offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu. Uvahem nege yomam v'layla, v'yavatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch ata Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. 152 now. This is the Shema. 1 second, here we go. All right. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Please be seated. Page 154, V'yahavta, join me, V'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha, B'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha, u'v'chol meodecha, V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, Asher anochi mitzavecha, Hayom al levavecha, Vishinantam levanecha, V'dibarta baham, B'shivtecha b'vetecha, Uvlechtecha v'aderech, Uvshochbecha uvkumecha, Ukshartam leot al yadecha, V'hayu letotafot ben einecha, Uchtavtam amezuzot betecha, Uvisha'arecha, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני, אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני, אדוני אלוהיכם. 159. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, song of a land once ravaged by war, now quiet and content, for soldiers home to leave no more, song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. Micha Mocha, previous page. Micha Mocha. Adonai, mi kamocha, nedar b'hakodesh, nora tehilot, osef eleh, nora tehilot, osef eleh. Machutecha Ra'u vanecha Bokei hayam Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam Zeli anu ve'amru Adonai Imloch leolam va'ed. Gabe Schneider, our cantor, taught me that song, and taught you guys that song too. So this is one of those, you know how each and every one of the cantors that have been here in some way or another have left their mark on this place. And we still sing some of the songs that they sang, you know, like, for example, Tov Lehodod, definitely Josh Breitzer, the Dodi Lee that we sing a lot, Josh. You know, I think about some of the songs that Andrea, and I mean, really. And Gabe, that Micha Mocha is, and also the Lachado D that we've been doing is really beautiful also. Nonetheless, all right, our service continues with Vishamru. That's our song acknowledging the special quality of the Sabbath day. You can find that on page 162, I think. Yep, 162. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz veshamru v'nei Yisrael et hashabat lasot et hashabat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vainafash, shavat vainafash, shavat vainafash, veshamru v'nei Yisrael et hashabat lasot et hashabat לדורותם בריאת עולם. All right, so our service continues with the tefillah, which is the kind of the heart of the service. It begins with an element called Adonai Sifatai Tiftach. When you think about it, right? Adonai Sifatai Tiftach. What does that mean? Oh God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. And then, what happens? At the end, Yihiu l'ratzon imrei fi. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. So at first we say, God, help open my mouth, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. And then at the end, you say, I hope my words were acceptable to you. This is the essence of our service. This is the tefillah, and I'd like to invite everyone to please rise. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Yahagi, Ehilatecha. Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Yahagi, Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor Vanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Ahavot V'imahot, Umevi geula livnei v'neihem, leman shemo b'yahava, melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen. Baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham v'ezrat Sarah. 168 now. Atah gibor leolam Adonai, mechayeh kol atarav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Sohomech noflim verofech oholim, umatir asurim, umekahayeh emunato lishenei afar. Michamocha bal givurot, umido melach, melech memit umechahayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'emanat alachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. 170. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom yalalu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. All right, we're on page. How about 175? Bottom of the page, please join me. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. All right, so our evening prayer for peace is called Shalom Rav, and it's on 178. Okay. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom, ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Baruch atah Adonai hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. All right, so this is the part in our service, probably my favorite part in our service, when we pause and give a chance to talk a little bit about the joys that have been in our lives, the struggles that have been in our lives as well. We always start with joy. We have a little song we sing as we're doing it. You can say Ken Yehi or Lu Yehi. You can sing it any way you want to, but these words are a way of saying, may it be so. But we start with a little joy. So if you've experienced joy recently and you'd like to share it, all you have to do is raise your hand. I'll call on you and share your joy. Go ahead, Cindy, you go first. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's right. I'm so glad. So connecting with Leslie Kramer, a nice opportunity to hear how she's doing and check in on her. Thanks for sharing that. Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Thanks for sharing. Anybody else want to share a little joy? Go ahead, Karen. Yeah, it's always nice to hear from students for sure, and then say that it mattered what you taught and it stayed with them. Wow, it's awesome. Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Anybody else want to share a little joy? Yeah, go ahead, Laura.
Well, I got an unexpected phone call this evening, and we met up, Cindy and Dave and I met up for dinner.
Nice.
And we hope to make this kind of a tradition and bring more and more people in to have dinner before services.
Little Shabbos meal beforehand.
Shabbat meal, yeah.
That's so nice. Dinner before Shabbat, people that matter. Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Anybody else want to share? Mary.
Last weekend,
Yeah.
my brother, my nephew, two great nephews, my great niece came to visit. And on Sunday, they all went home.
Nice when they come, nice when they leave. Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Anybody else want to share a little joy? Baruch atah Adonai, Gomel Chasadim Tovim. We praise you, Adonai, our God, for partnering with us in the many joys that are in our lives. So along with the joy, of course, is a recognition of struggle. Loved ones of ours are in need of healing. We have a blessing, we say. And so I'll start it. I think most people here know how we do this. And that is, I'll start the blessing halfway through. I'll give you a chance to share any names of people that you would like to. Again, these are people who are in need of healing. And afterwards, we'll sing. So the blessing begins, Mishaberach Avotenu, Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, v'imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. Those words mean, may the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel. V'yivarech v'yirapet kol hacholim shelanu. May God bless and heal all of our loved ones who are in need of healing. Especially those we name at this time. So if you'd like to share the name of someone in need of healing, just raise your hand and we'll call on you. And here. Victoria. Thank you. Yeah, Dave. Thank you. Yeah, Laura.
Reva Kelly,
Reva Kelly, thanks.
Marianne Fry.
Yeah. You didn't like it. Sorry. Thank you. Anybody else here? Yeah, Merava Tara Bat Avraham Nisara. Indeed. Anybody else? Thank you. I'd also like to mention Eric Harris, Laura McDaniel, Mark Koppelman, Rich Harrison, and Alvin Jeweler. Vishlach lahem bimhera refuah shlema. May God send them speedily a complete recovery. Refuat hanefesh v'refuat haguf, a healing of body and a healing of spirit. B'toch sha'ar cholei Yisrael, amongst all who are in need of healing. V'nomar, amen. Let us say amen. So I think page 371, that's where you find the words to the prayer for healing, Debbie Friedman's version of the prayer for healing. Mishaberach Avotenu Mikor habracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. All right, so at this time we take a moment in silence. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'himru, Amen. Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'himru, Amen. Yalla-la-la-la-la, yalla-la-la-la, yalla-la-la-la-la, yalla-la-la-la-la. Yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'himru. I can put this thing down, finally. Scares me. I'm the only one who's scared of his own guitar. I just want to tell you a little about, Israel, being that I was there yesterday. For a little while yesterday. And so I want you, first let me start by saying that I went on a trip with Israel Bonds. I think you know probably that Israel Bonds has always been something very important to me, at least has been for the last 20 years or so. And I've been part of the leadership team of Israel Bonds, and now I'm kind of an old ex-president of Israel Bonds. But still, it still is a meaningful organization, and I care for it very much. And going on a trip with Israel Bonds is different than going on a trip with, say, the synagogue. We did not go, or at least I did not ever go to the Western Wall or Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Museum, or, we didn't go to Sfat. And we didn't go to the Dead Sea or Masada. This is not the type of trip that an Israel Bonds mission is for rabbis. Rather, it's a trip in which you see how bonds are being used to help make the country, the nation, stronger. So, for example, we met with various different startup companies, one of which, this fascinating startup company, which has kind of come up with a cure for cancer. And you might say, oh, really? Yeah. All cancers that are tumor cancers, so not a cancer in the bloodstream, but they come up with a way of using alpha rays to destroy tumors with great success. I mean, that's just one of the places. Went to, we toured an Iron Dome facility. That's the, the defense system, missile defense system in Israel. We went and visited one of the tunnels that Hezbollah had dug from southern Lebanon into Israel, and we saw how Israel found, the entrance and sealed it off, and now but they opened it up for us to kind of walk through, in part, the tunnel that was built. That is obviously no longer operational, but still. So this is kind of, we had a speaker on the Abraham Accords. Like this is the kind of trip that it is. It's not really one that, even a second timer in Israel would go to. Rather, it's more kind of tailored towards a bunch of rabbis who are connected to Israel bonds. The highlight for me, even better than the tunnels, the Hezbollah tunnels, which was pretty amazing. The highlight for me was seeing my daughter. So she is a student in Tel Aviv, and I went a couple days early and went to go visit her. And we spent a few days together in Tel Aviv, walking the streets and seeing her vision of Israel, like what she does and how she does it. So on Saturday night, we were, Shabbat was over and we were walking around, and I think it was, she mentioned, what's not so far away, she says to me. And I'm not telling you what it is quite yet. Give me 1/2 second before I tell you what it is. She says, and they, as a program, aren't allowed to go see this because it's a little dangerous, not because, well, at first it was because, they didn't know if this would be a target, and then it was because just so many people, but she said that the demonstrations are happening, as they do every Saturday night in Tel Aviv. And she didn't need to say that again. Even if she had said, we're not allowed to go, I would have grabbed her and said, we're going to this. But we went. We walked to these, it wasn't so far, and we met up with the beginning of the march, which was the demonstration, which begins at the top of Rothschild Street and ends at on Kaplan Street, and with me was probably 60,000 of my closest friends in Tel Aviv, and they were demonstrating and marching. And what were they demonstrating about? Lots of things. Some were there just because they just object to Bibi Netanyahu. Others were there, and many were there because they object to not as much Netanyahu, but the cabinet he's put together. What does that mean? Well, as a way of securing the coalition, Netanyahu put together a cabinet including not just the two religious parties, which is unusual to have both, but also the religious Zionist party and another religious Zionist party called Otzma. Both of these are led by figures who are a little bit more unsavory than I'd like to, that I wish we had. What are some of the things that these two figures have argued for, and now that they have very strong positions in the cabinet that they're trying to establish and make happen? things like the expulsion from Israel of any of its critics, things like annexing the West Bank without giving those people who it would be annexed the right to vote. Again, this isn't Netanyahu's statements. This is the statements of people who make up his coalition and who he had to give strong cabinet positions to as a way of strengthening his coalition. So this is not Netanyahu saying, I want to annex the West Bank and take away their right to vote. Rather, it's people who are far more to the right that he has aligned himself with. Also, this won't come as a surprise to you. These people are trying to marginalize, if not really discriminate against LGBTQ people. And also, for that matter, they're trying to change the rules for the law of return so that anyone who is, connected to Reform, Conservative, Reconstructionist synagogue in the diaspora does not have the right to call themselves a Jew and come to live in Israel. Again, this is not the words of Netanyahu, but rather the words of people who he has aligned himself with. So I want to make sure it's clear. So one of the things that people were demonstrating against was these two characters and the coalition itself, and how it's maintained and how it's been established. But the primary reason why the demonstrations were happening was because of what's happening with respect to how the Knesset is fast-tracking judicial reform. And when I say judicial reform, I mean two things. One is that they're trying to make changes to the various different judges that are in place right now and put judges who are considerably more sympathetic to Netanyahu. And why is that important? Because I'm not sure exactly where it is along the line of accusation and arraignment, and he has not been convicted yet, but he has certainly gotten himself involved in a number of things in which he's on trial. But that's not even the worst of it. The worst, I think, is the fact that there is an effort to try to change how it is that the Supreme Court has the capacity to kind of oversee the Knesset and how they can make sure that the Knesset doesn't overstep its bounds, its reach. And that's important because Israel doesn't have a constitution, at least not yet. And so therefore, that the prime minister has the capacity to claim that, if there is a marginalized and weakened Supreme Court, that the Knesset has the capacity to institute some really uncomfortable laws, and without having a Supreme Court to be able to say this is not right. And with a coalition as it is right now, that's a real concern. Because if you have radicals in your coalition that the government needs to include and keep happy so they continue to be part of a coalition, they're going to try to make some laws and rules which are going to be truly inappropriate and uncomfortable. And without a Supreme Court that has the capacity to say, no, it's not okay, then some of these things might happen. And the demonstrations made a very strong statement about how this is not the will and hope and feelings of this country. And in truth, many people who voted for the various different figures that make up the coalition right now didn't necessarily vote for this idea to limit the reach of the Supreme Court, but rather they voted for their parties for other reasons. But they're finding that this is kind of what's happening right now. And so the demonstrations every single Saturday for the last 7 weeks. And just on this past Monday, there was another large one, this time in Jerusalem. People from all over the country descended upon Jerusalem, or ascended to Jerusalem, I guess I should say, to have a similar demonstration. I love Israel more than you can possibly imagine. I will always love Israel and will always be firmly by her side. That doesn't mean, though, I can't complain when I struggle with something. And I do. I struggle with this. I struggle with who's in the coalition right now. I recognize that it's a democracy and that it was voted on. Doesn't mean I can't struggle. I do. I hope that Israel maintains its democracy fully. I hope that Israel is able to maintain its heart, its Jewish heart, which has always been beating Jewish blood for 75 years. And I hope that it continues to beat that way, because I know that Israel is better than what's going on right now. In the Torah portion called Mishpatim this week, it lists various different laws. It's really kind of, right after we get the Ten Commandments, it just opens the floodgates of laws and laws and laws. And after getting so many of these laws, the Israelites say, Na'aseh v'nishma. We will do and we will then understand. Right? And so the commentators, wisely say, how is it that they would just do something before understanding it? Because the Hebrew says, Na'aseh v'nishma. We will do it, then we will understand it. And one of the commentators says, the reason why is because they were such a young people. They couldn't possibly understand it. And so they realized they just had to do, and then they would understand later. But the commentator goes on to say, but that was because of such a young and naive people. That isn't how it always is. And that's the case in Israel right now. Things are happening, and for some people it's sure, we'll go along with it, we'll figure it out, understand it later. But for a great many people in Israel, Tel Aviv for sure, all across the country as well, this is not how they're functioning. They're saying, we need to understand this, and we plan on showing up to communicate our need to understand this. We aren't just blindly going along with things, as the Israelites did in this week's Torah portion. Instead, we need to communicate how it's not what we think the soul of Israel is. And as you read about this or think about this, there is no question that it was a democracy that voted in Netanyahu and his coalition. That is for sure. However, I do want you to know that if you go to Tel Aviv, which I really believe is the heart and soul of Israel, go to Tel Aviv, this is not the feelings of the people of Tel Aviv. They are en masse demonstrating. And so you should feel reassured that this is not something that the nation of Israel as a whole agrees with or believes in. So I think for now I'll let it be. But Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for indulging me. Shabbat Shalom. Our service continues on page 586 as we continue with Aleinu. And I'd like to invite you to please rise for Aleinu 586. Thank you very much. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Please be seated. At this time, our hearts turn to those who have left us. We've had a tough week or 2 weeks. A number of loved ones have passed away, and we are still lovingly thinking about them and remembering them. And of course, there are also loved ones whose yahrzeits occur on this Shabbat. We remember them as well. First, let me share with you these loved ones who passed away quite recently. We remember lovingly Natalie Rosenblum. Natalie is Howard's mom. Jean Schwartz, loved one of Dana Shalom. Ed Landis, father of Brian Landis. Dee Fox, mother of David Fox. And Phil Roeder, husband of Gina Roeder. And we also remember at this time these loved ones whose yahrzeits occur on the Shabbat. Again, it's the anniversary of their passing. We remember Jane Krushat, Louis Feinstein, Norma Gordeski, Alex Langsam, Bessie Rose Levin, Emma Lindauer, Debbie Reese-Katz, Evelyn Newman Adler, Rita Epstein, Richard Johnson, Bessie Levy, Frank Lipman, Irvin Swartz, Saul Levine, and Jane Elliott. And so in gratitude for their lives and linking their names with all of our loved ones who have passed away, we remember them now with the words of our mourner's prayer, which is called a Kaddish. It can be found on page 598. If it's your custom, I'd like to invite you to please rise. 598. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechal beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevorach la'alam ulamei almaya. Yibarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiram b'yalma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to every bereaved heart. Amen. Please be seated. Thank you. All right. I am happy to say that our service is, well, I'm not so happy about that, but I'm just want to communicate that our service is getting close to being to conclusion. Thank you so much to Jerry Falk for serving as the usher. Really appreciate it. And also Jerry and Cindy Heslin for sponsoring the Oneg Shabbat. So thank you, thank you, thank you. A handful of announcements. Allow me to tell you them. All right, let me start by saying on Monday, the office is closed. So there's no Torah study class. I think I said there was before, but there isn't, because the office is closed in observance of President's Day. Men's Club is, however, meeting by Zoom that evening. And while we're at it, on Tuesday, Men's Club is meeting for their weekly lunch. On Tuesday, also, there's no class. My class is not in session, and the reason, I think we have a board meeting, right? So that's why there's no class. If you have a youth group kid, or you know of one, Beatty, our youth group, has its casino night. You know, you got to come with a visor, get ready bring a lot of no, joking. I think it's all fake, but still a lot of fun for the youth group's casino night. On Sunday the 26th is Men's Club Comedy Cavalcade. That's always a lot of fun, with a lot of very wild things happening by these men. March 5th is our Purim Carnival. March 7th is a adult Purim celebration here, sponsored by the Sisterhood. And the TBS's first ever, but annual now, cook-off on the 11th. All of these things you can find out more information by reading the weekly email. I think I have said plenty. So we are going to continue with Motzi. And then after the Motzi, Shir Hamalot is how we conclude. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. All right, so Shir Hamalot can be found on page 635, I think. Yes, 635. All right. You got this with me. So easy. Right? Shabbat Shalom is how it is. And then after that, a little Shir Hamalot. But if you don't want to sing that, you don't have to. I'll take care of it. But Shabbat Shalom, I think you got. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shir Hamalot B'shuv Adonai Et Shivat Zion Chayinu Kechomim. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. One more time. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, everyone, for being here with me. Please join us for the Oneg Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. La, 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 la. La ya la 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 la. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya 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 la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la. Keep those there. I'll recycle these because I will use those again. Ya la 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 la. Shabbat Shalom to everyone who's watching on Zoom, including Stephen and Nancy and Merv, my parents. Nice to see you, Abba and Ima, or have you seen me? Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Yes.
Shabbat Shalom, Buffalo. You're in St. Louis. Shabbat Shalom, St. Louis.